there a potential project that could go through.
Okay, but let's say that those are county dollars,
That's okay.
not necessarily cooperative extension.
We don't care where the money comes from.
Okay,
As long as it's matching. It can actually be other federal funds. We actually
Okay.
can match CDBG against CDBG sometimes. But there is a feasibility study application round that happens in April and October. We could actually get some funds to perhaps get some estimates and look into some stuff. So we can talk about that in
Oh.
September. It's $12,000. Usually about $10,000 can go into the architectural or engineering or something for preliminary design.
really?
Yeah, so I think that might be a good idea to go for that.
Yeah, we have 8,000 right now to put in to get some estimates.
Well, that would be a match there. Often, we don't need a match for the feasibility. That's not the big dollars. The big
Mhm.
dollars you have to be competitive with.
Wow, Ed,
Do most grants go to the private sector, if you look at the data, or do most grants go to
public?
public?
Only a municipality can apply for community development block grant funds, a town, a city, or a county. Then there are subrecipients. A subrecipient would be this daycare that we're talking about.
But what are the numbers? Is it 50/50 going to private and then going to government organizations? Like, how does that?
I think what she said was you have to go through a town or a city or a county to get any block grant money, but then it goes out to,
It could go
Yeah.
out to, like this daycare, it could go into water lines that the municipality owns. We did a project actually here,
yeah,
and we did the water lines, or
Water
sewer
line,
lines,
yeah.
water lines.
yeah.
So I don't have a number for you, though.
So community development doesn't only mean to create jobs, it means to repair infrastructure too.
It means to benefit low and moderate income folks. And that can be through the provision of, upgrading water and sewer lines that are not meeting DES regulations. It could be through daycare, helping a daycare organization build a building, rehab a building. It could be through creating jobs through a loan to a business. It could be infrastructure into an industrial park that we put in as a grant, but the business promises to create jobs. Or a loan through an organization like Denise's. She could request a loan on behalf of a business to help them expand to create some jobs when you create jobs, they have to be primarily benefiting 60%, in that case, low and moderate income people, which means you need no more than a high school diploma to get the job. You don't need, college or training.
Okay, so again, if we wanted to apply, it's competitive with the rest of the state? Okay. But we could get up to 250,000, did you say?
500,000.
500,000, okay.
You can get $500,000. As a county, you can apply for $500,000 in each category, public facilities or economic development, just like any town could
Okay.
a year.
Is the town less than 500?
It used to be different, it's
I
not
thought it
different
was.
anymore. Yeah, the county used to be able to get more, but not anymore. And there used to be 2-year projects, which would tie up $1 million per project, and that's gone too. 'Cause then the next year came around, there was no money to give. So
Okay.
now it's $500,000, that's all you can get.
Okay.
Most projects do ask for that. Well, when you're putting water lines, sewer lines, 500,000 sounds like a lot of money, but it's not a
Yeah.
lot of money.
Yeah, yeah,
But in building buildings, it's, a good chunk of money.
right. Okay, anybody else got any questions, comments regarding community development block grant money? Yeah?
Just if, she mentioned a number of dates and times and deadlines.
Yeah.
Are you going to, just to follow through and make sure we don't miss them, are you going to?
I'll be on his case about it. I'll check in with them.
So January.
When I go berry picking, I'll remind them.
When you go-
And that's next week.
When is it?
Next week.
I kept checking the site. It says closed.
The one you were talking about in October?
For the feasibility study, there's a deadline in October. That's a small amount of money, up to $12,000. That could help for preliminary. It has to be, the term has to be preliminary plans or doing surveys, looking into the potential reuse. Reuse is a is a high score. When we have to go in with an application, we have to score in different categories. And reuse of a building is obviously a high scoring, because we want to reuse buildings. We want to reuse old mill buildings. We want to turn them into housing. You see a lot of projects around the state. Like in Laconia, they take the old mill buildings that are
Right.
vacant and they turn them into apartments that primarily benefit low and moderate income people. We had a big building there that we also put a daycare in addition to all the housing. It's because we want to reuse buildings that are starting to fall apart before we start building new buildings. In fact, CDBG doesn't actually construct new affordable housing. We can do site work, which we're
Yep,
doing at
that's right.
Harriman Hill and Wolfboro. We're doing a project right now for affordable housing. But CDBG can only do site work because the emphasis is on reuse of buildings, not building new buildings while old buildings fall apart.
Well, that would be my point, and that's something, David, you could tell the
Mhm.
delegation that you're working on.
Yeah, yeah.
The money in October, if you can get that. or
October for the
turn it around in
feasibility.
January.
Then January and July are the deadlines for that would be a public facility project.
Right, because I mean, there are a number of options that we've explored, and every single one of them we've already talked about, so
Mhm.
I just think
Yeah.
it'd be a good thing to.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, Mr. Babson?
These grants, I can't think of a better word, but retroactive, Donna? I mean,
No.
we're coming into a time situation here. And that-
Absolutely not. The most we can do is ask for matching funds to be counted at the application deadline date.
What do you mean by time?
Well, if there's a possibility to get $12,000 in October,
Yeah,
you gotta remember, I've been in here for 4 years asking what's gonna happen to the nursing home every Wednesday,
yeah.
and we're no.
No, you've
closer to
been asking
finishing
what's gonna happen to cooperative extensions.
Cooperative extension,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah.
And we're no closer to a decision than we were 4 years ago.
But,
So-
but,
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 still gonna get-
the commissioners are not holding that up. It's a delegation. It's your cohorts that
I
are
don't
holding that
remember
up.
blaming anybody, Mr. Commissioner.
Okay.
The point is, we haven't moved forward with it, and so we could get a possible 12 by the time this thing gets rolling around and we get accepted in April or May or whatever. We should have been well underway in this project, because we have to be out of where we are.
Yep,
Oh, in
And so the time
October,
the
yeah.
time is a factor here.
if we go in October, they decide that pretty quickly, by December. That doesn't take all that long to decide.
That's about right with our timing schedule around here, it'd take that long anyway.
And generally, depending on what you're gonna use the money for, if it's going to be for engineering, architect, or something like that,
architect.
to move it up a little bit, we could put an RFQ out, request for qualifications for an architect. You just can't sign a contract until they're approved.
We do have a builder that we have selected. We haven't selected an architect yet. However, EGA has done a preliminary strictly for cooperative extension, not for the rest of the building. So,
We'd have to talk about that. Procurement's a very important process for these federal funds. It has to be open and fair competition, so
yeah.
you have to put an RFQ out, request for qualifications, and then you get qualifications from architects and engineers, and you have interviews and stuff like that. But in order to move things along, we could put that out, if that was the direction that we were going in and we were applying in October for that, we could put that request out like in October, but just not sign, and go through the process of interviews, but not sign a contract
Okay.
until governor and council approval. But when you said retroactive, I thought you meant to pay back for costs that we've already incurred, the answer would be no.
Well, I don't know whether we've incurred any expenses yet by hiring Bonnet, Page and Stone to do the preliminary work.
No.
That's what I was saying.
We haven't signed any contract. We just, we interviewed 3 different companies and selected them to be the one.
So
However,
the time
we,
starts when you sign the contract, is that what you're saying?
Right, but to go back to a selection that's already been done previously, the whole process would have to be analyzed to make sure it met the
Okay,
requirements.
That's what I'm asking by retroactive.
Actions can be retroactive, but not costs incurred and not contracts signed.
Thank you.
what about architect? maybe we've selected the builder or the construction manager. We haven't selected the architect
Yeah,
yet.
if
Right.
we could do the architect, whether or not you go for these funds, if we work together to put the RFQ out so it will meet both whatever
Right,
your requirements are and CDBG's in case.
yeah,
You know, they don't have that many strict requirements, it's just it has to be open and fair competition, it has to be put out in a,
yeah.
like the union
Yeah,
leader
we
and
do.
stuff like that.
We asked for 3 bids, is that what's common?
Well, it's qualifications based, we don't ask for bids are prices, and we're not allowed to ask architects or engineers for prices. It has to be negotiated after. We have to go based on most qualified to do the project.
Oh, okay,
And then you talk money after that, so it's a little different process.
okay.
We do, just to clarify, we do bids when we're building a building, and we've got specifications that say you have to use this material, you have to, and says exactly what you have to do, then it has to be a bid project. But services like an architect are qualification based.
Okay. Okay. Any last comments? Yeah,
So
go ahead.
You're,
Can
you
you
would be the
sign
one
those?
that's gonna write the grant?
Well, it's up to the county, but I could. That's what I do.
Okay.
We have to have a motion to sign this? Is that right?
It's just a closeout report, no.
Well, let's make it it's a closeout certificate and documentation. I'd move that we sign this as commissioners for the Community Development Block Grant Financing Authority. You second it?
Second.
All those support the motion, say aye.
Aye.
So I signed it under authorized officials, right?
Yes, and I'll notarize it for you. And this gets uploaded, remember, all of CDBG is now in the computerized filing system, grants management system. So it will be uploaded into that and then sent off. They will send a closeout agreement, because this is a closeout report, and you can just sign that when it comes in. I'll tell Kathy that.
Okay,
All right.
all right.
Would you read that motion again, please?
Motion to sign the closeout report. Closeout certification.
You need a copy of the minutes, right?
Yes, for the public hearing on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion to sign. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we will talk about the study, and we'll talk about, and anyone you want to talk to me about reuse potential. just
Yeah.
give me my number, and then we will talk about it and see what will work. It'd be great to reuse it for something like a daycare, but whatever.
Well, let us think about it a little bit, and we'll invite you back for another meeting, or we'll set up a committee to look into this further rather than our commissioners' meeting.
Mhm,
Okay.
great,
All right.
thanks.
Thank you very
So we'll
much.
close out the public hearing. Motion to close the public hearing.
Yeah, second.
Second it. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
So voted. Thank you, Donna. You need this other copy?
That's just yours. You want me to give it to Kathy?
What's that?
Want me to give it to Kathy downstairs?
Sure. This is all.
You
Oh, you
can
wanted
keep
that?
No, you can keep it, but this part here is confidential.
Which part? The side part?
Thank you very much for the work that you're doing
Thank you.
and helping Carroll County especially.
Fine.
Thank you.
I'd like to approve the minutes for July 6th.
Second.
Any further discussion on the minutes for July 6th? Anybody that has one in the public got any changes? If not, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
And so voted for passing of the July 6th
And
Carroll County Commissioners meeting.
I have to make amendment to the
Okay,
minutes. I want to make amendment to the minutes of
June 22nd.
June 22nd. That is the portion of the county attorney about a grant. The numbers therein for the budget say 13,500.
15,550.
It needs to be 13,550,
Yeah.
of which $8,000 is for Cybertron and $5,000 is for moving forward with the case management system that would allow the county attorney office to work with law enforcement, the J1